is the truth. Most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they never learned how to think straight under pressure. This audiobook is called The Art of Strategic Thinking, Outsmart Any Challenge and Win Big in Life, for a reason. Because real success doesn't come from working harder, it comes from thinking better. And if your mind is always scattered, rushed, or emotional, it's going to keep getting in the way. This isn't about hype. It's about building the kind of mindset that actually works in real life. You'll learn how to stop reacting and start thinking clearly. You'll learn how to make fast, smart decisions. You'll learn how to cut the noise, stay focused, and build a strong foundation. No guessing, no waiting, no wishful thinking, just straight, powerful thinking you can use right now. If you've been looking for a reset, this is it. Not just to feel better, but to finally take control of where your life is going. Chapter 1. Control what you think before it controls you. Control what you think before it controls you. That's where everything begins. That's where life starts to take shape. Not with what you say, not with what you hope, but with what you think. Quietly, daily, when nobody's watching you. Your thoughts are the foundation of every action you take, every decision you make, every result you experience. If your thoughts are scattered, your life will be scattered. If your thoughts are weak, your choices will be weak. And if your thoughts are negative, your entire day gets pulled into negativity. But if you learn how to catch your thoughts before they spiral, if you develop the habit of checking in with yourself, asking, "What am I thinking right now and why?" that alone will shift your life in ways most people never understand. The truth is, most people don't even realize that they're being run by automatic thoughts. They wake up and their brain is already filled with doubt, stress, regret, guilt, distractions, blame, thoughts that were never questioned, just repeated from yesterday. And if you live like that, you're not thinking, you're reacting. You're not in charge, you're letting your thoughts run wild and hoping something good happens. But life doesn't work that way. Results don't show up by chance, they show up when your thinking changes first. You see, you can't improve your life with the same thoughts that created your problems. You need to step outside of your own mind and look at it honestly. What are you thinking about all day long? What do you allow into your head? Are you feeding your mind junk? Or are you feeding it clarity, focus, goals, strategy, purpose? You've got to decide what belongs in your mind and what doesn't. Because once a thought enters your system, it begins shaping your behavior. You start to feel things, you start to act based on those feelings, and soon, without even realizing it, you're following a path that you didn't consciously choose. That's how people waste years of their life. They don't even know they're being led by thoughts that don't serve them. So the first step to strategic thinking is awareness. You've got to catch yourself in the act. Notice the moment your mind starts to drift towards something unproductive. When you're about to judge yourself, stop. When you're about to compare your life to someone else's, pause. When that fear kicks in, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? That's when you take control. That's when you speak to your thoughts instead of letting them speak for you. And this isn't about pretending, it's not about ignoring pain or difficulty. This is about taking control of your mind in a way that's strong, real, and deliberate. There's a difference between thinking things through and letting your thoughts drag you around. Most people don't know that difference. But once you do, your life begins to move in the right direction. You'll feel the shift. You'll wake up and feel more calm. You'll notice you don't overreact as much. You'll stop wasting time arguing with people who don't matter. You'll stop explaining yourself to everyone. You'll save your energy, because now you're not just thinking, you're thinking on purpose. Here's something to remember. Every challenge you faced started in your mind. The fear, the hesitation, the delay, it wasn't the world stopping you. It was your thoughts convincing you to hold back. That's how powerful they are. That's how subtle they can be. And the only way to win is to face them head on and ask, is this thought helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting you, get rid of it, replace it. Take 5 minutes to write down something better, something stronger, something that moves your life forward. Don't leave it to chance. The people who win in life are the ones who think with intention. They don't allow any thought to live in their mind for free. They question their doubts. They challenge their fears. They replace the noise with clarity. And that clarity helps them move faster, make better choices, and handle more pressure. If you don't control your thoughts, someone else will. The world is full of opinions. Everyone's got something to say. Social media, the news, the people around you. If you're not grounded in your own thinking, their thinking will take over, and you'll find yourself living a life that isn't yours. You'll be chasing goals you don't care about. You'll be saying yes when you should have said no. You'll be stuck in a pattern of doing what's easy instead of what's right. But when your thinking is your own, when you've trained yourself to stay clear, focused, and mentally strong, you don't fall for those traps. You set your own pace. You choose your battles. You think 3 steps ahead. That's what strategic thinking really means. It means you don't live by reaction. You live by intention. You know where your energy goes. You know what matters. And most of all, you know what doesn't. Control what you think before it controls you. That's not just a phrase, it's a way to live. If you wake up and your mind is already racing, stop, sit still. Ask yourself, what do I want to think about today? That one question can reset your entire day. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Because if you don't decide, your past will, your habits will, your emotions will. And that's when things fall apart. If you've been stuck lately, if you feel like your life isn't moving forward, check your thinking first. Not your work, not your circumstances. Your thinking. What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your future? What kind of thoughts are you carrying into each day? That's what shapes your energy. That's what controls your actions. That's what determines your results. And don't wait for the perfect time to start doing this. You can begin right now, in the middle of chaos, in the middle of failure, in the middle of doubt. That's when this matters the most. Because strategic thinking isn't about always having the answer. It's about having the discipline to think clearly when life feels unclear. It's about slowing your mind when everything else is rushing. It's about making your next move count. Because you're not thinking out of fear, you're thinking with direction. Look, your mind is your most powerful tool, but only if you're the one in charge of it. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be fearless, but you do need to be intentional. Train yourself to notice what you're thinking and why. Start catching the patterns that keep you small. Stop making excuses for weak thinking. Take ownership of every thought you allow into your mind, because once your thinking improves, everything else improves with it. Your mood, your habits, your choices, your relationships, your finances, your direction. And that's when you start outsmarting challenges, not because they disappeared, but because your mind got stronger than the problem. You don't have to outwork the world. You just need to outthink your past self. You don't need to be lucky. You need to be clear. That's how you win big in life. One smart thought at a time. So if you want to change your life, start right here. Control what you think before it controls you. Because nothing changes until your thinking does. And when it does, everything starts to shift in your favor. One decision, one choice, one thought at a time. Chapter 2. Make your next move with full mental awareness. Every move you make is shaping your future, whether you realize it or not. That's the truth most people overlook. Life isn't built in the big moments. It's built in the small decisions you make when nobody's watching, and those decisions are only as good as your awareness in that moment. If your mind is unclear, distracted, tired, or filled with doubt, you'll make choices that cost you progress. You'll act on impulse, not strategy. You'll respond based on emotion, not clarity. And that pattern, repeated over time, leads to regret, frustration, and feeling stuck in the same cycle. But if you learn to become fully aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, you start to change the game. You no longer make random moves hoping things turn out right. You move with purpose. You start to recognize what's helping you and what's pulling you backwards. That's mental awareness. It's not about overthinking. It's not about trying to be perfect. It's about being so present in your own mind that your decisions begin to reflect who you are and where you want to go. Every day, you're making dozens of choices. How you speak, how you respond, what you give your time to, what you ignore, what you chase, what you delay. But here's the problem. Most people aren't aware they're even making those choices. They're on autopilot. They repeat habits from yesterday. They fall back into routines that no longer serve them. They say yes when they should say no. They put energy into things that drain them, and when nothing changes, they wonder why they feel stuck. The answer is simple. They're moving without awareness. They're acting without checking in with themselves. They don't pause to ask, is this the right move for me right now? That one question, if asked consistently, can keep you from falling into the same mental traps. You see, awareness is your defense against making decisions that waste your time, drain your energy, and break your momentum. When you have it, you can see the patterns. When you lack it, you repeat the same mistakes and call it bad luck. There's power in a pause, not to second-guess yourself, but to become clear, to look at the situation and see it for what it really is. Not what you feel in the moment, not what fear is screaming, not what other people are saying, but what is actually happening right now, and what do you want to do about it. This is how strategic thinkers operate. They don't move fast just to look busy. They don't say yes just to please people. They don't rush decisions out of pressure. They stop. They think. They measure the moment. They're fully awake in their own mind. That's why their next move usually works. It's not perfect, but it's intentional. It comes from awareness, not panic. You can train this. It's not some natural talent you're born with. It's a muscle. You start by paying attention, not to everything, just to yourself. Your thoughts, your behavior, your reactions, your body, your stress, your boredom, your fears, your need to prove something, the way your voice changes when you're unsure, the way you distract yourself when things get uncomfortable. All of it, pay attention, because the more you notice, the more control you get, and the more control you have, the better you move through life. You have to ask yourself better questions throughout the day, not just, what do I want, but why do I want it right now? Not just, should I do this, but is this the best move for where I'm going? Those questions slow your mind down long enough for the truth to show up. That's how people avoid making the same mistake twice. They ask the question most people avoid: what part of this decision comes from pressure, and what part comes from clarity? When your mind is under pressure, it will convince you to act just to feel like you're doing something. But moving fast doesn't mean you're moving right. Being busy doesn't mean you're being smart. The key is learning to think clearly before you take action, And you can only think clearly when you step outside of the noise, outside of the pressure, the fear, the urge to prove, the need to rush, and just be honest with yourself. There are moments where one wrong move can cost you weeks. One bad response can ruin trust. One yes can destroy your focus. That's why awareness is everything. It gives you time to see what's really going on. It gives you space to act with wisdom instead of emotion. And over time, those small moments of awareness add up. They create a version of you that makes better choices consistently. Think about how different your life would look if your next 10 decisions came from full mental clarity. If you knew exactly why you were doing what you were doing, if you stopped letting pressure choose for you, if you took 5 seconds before every important action and asked yourself, is this the move that moves me forward? That kind of discipline is rare. Most people don't think long enough to see the difference between what they feel and what's actually best for them. But you can. You don't have to live on repeat. You don't have to stay stuck in patterns. You don't have to respond the way you always have. You can become a person who thinks before moving, and wins because of it. This applies to every part of life: business, relationships, money, goals, communication. It all starts with your next move. If that next move comes from emotion, you risk falling into the same trap. If it comes from awareness, you build momentum. That's the difference between starting over again and building something that lasts. And listen, it's not about slowing down forever. It's about pausing long enough to choose the move that gives you the best chance at real progress. Anyone can act, but not everyone can act with clarity, and that's where the advantage is. The people who move with awareness look like they're ahead because they are, not because they're focused. And they don't waste time fixing the same problems twice. Every challenge you face will try to rush you. Every fear will try to convince you to act now. Every voice around you will say, do something, but awareness will tell you the truth. Maybe the smartest move is to wait. Maybe the right response is no response. Maybe the pressure is just noise. And maybe, just maybe, your best decision isn't the one that feels good right now, but the one that holds up 5 years from now. That's the mindset you need to build. That's strategic thinking. You're not just making choices for today, you're setting the tone for who you're becoming. So make your next move with full mental awareness, not because you're scared to mess up, but because you've trained your mind to lead, not follow. You've built the habit of thinking before reacting. You've earned the right to trust yourself, because you've put in the work to become someone who thinks before they act. From this point forward, treat every decision like it matters, because it does. Stop giving away your focus to distractions. Stop letting your emotions decide the direction of your life. Start thinking clearly, even when things feel urgent. Start moving like someone who knows where they're going. Because you do, and your next move should prove it.
Chapter 3. Stop guessing and start thinking like a builder. Most people are winging it. They're waking up every day and trying to figure things out on the spot. They don't have a real structure. They don't have a long-term approach. They're reacting to problems instead of preparing for them. And because they're always guessing, they keep spinning in the same cycle of confusion, stress, and inconsistency. You don't get far in life by guessing. You move forward by building. And building takes intention, structure, planning, and execution. When you think like a builder, everything changes. A builder doesn't show up and say, "I hope this turns out okay." A builder starts with a plan. A builder starts with a plan. A builder starts with clarity. A builder looks ahead. They know what pieces are needed, what order things should go in, what can go wrong, and how to adjust without losing momentum. That's what it means to stop guessing and start thinking like a builder. You're no longer gambling with your energy, your time, or your future. You're taking responsibility for the structure of your life. A scattered mind leads to a scattered life. If you're not building something real, you're just reacting to whatever hits you next. You scroll all day. You get pulled into things that don't matter. You keep starting over because you never took the time to build something that lasts. And the reason that's happening isn't because you're not smart, it's because your mind hasn't been trained to think long-term. Builders think long-term. They don't chase shortcuts. They don't look for easy. They stay focused on the outcome and adjust their steps until the structure holds. To live like a builder, you need to treat your time differently. You can't keep waiting for the perfect moment to start. You can't keep guessing what might work and hoping you land somewhere better. You've got to stop and think, what am I building with the actions I'm taking today? If the answer is nothing clear, then it's time to change your approach. Time doesn't reward activity. Time rewards structure. If you're not building your days intentionally, your weeks won't improve. If your weeks don't improve, your life stays exactly where it is. Everything starts with the decision to take ownership. That means you stop blaming, stop avoiding, and stop waiting. Builders don't wait for motivation. They follow the structure. They know what matters most. They focus on it, even when it's boring or hard. That's the difference. And it's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about building with intention, day after day, no matter what. That's how real progress happens. Thinking like a builder means you don't just do things because they're urgent. You do them because they fit the structure you're committed to. You ask better questions. You prioritize differently. You say no more often. You don't just follow your mood. You follow your blueprint. That blueprint doesn't have to be fancy. It just has to be real. It's your plan, your target, your daily focus. Without it, everything starts to feel random. And when life feels random, motivation disappears fast. One reason most people don't grow is because they're trying to make daily decisions without any kind of bigger structure. They wake up and try to guess what they should focus on. They take random advice. They start something new every few days. They get excited, then they stop. Then they blame themselves. The problem wasn't effort. The problem was the lack of a foundation. You can't build something strong without a clear process. And once you learn that, you stop wasting time starting over. You start doing the right things, in the right order, over and over, until they work. This doesn't mean your life has to be rigid. Builders don't build walls around themselves. They build pathways. They create systems that support growth, systems that help them handle stress, systems that give them direction when their energy is low. This is how you protect your discipline. It's how you protect your mental clarity. Because when life gets hard, and it will, the people who built systems will keep going. The people who relied on guesswork will collapse. Start with your daily routine. Ask yourself, what part of my day is helping me build something meaningful? If you don't know, then nothing has been built yet. And that's okay, but now it's time to change it. You build a strong life by building strong days. A strong day doesn't mean doing 1,000 things. It means knowing your top 3 priorities and locking in on them no matter what. It means organizing your time so that your mind doesn't have to scramble. It means cutting out the habits that drain you and replacing them with routines that keep you moving forward. Builders track their progress. They don't wait for results to surprise them. They measure what matters. They look at what's working and what's not. They make small adjustments. They stay focused on the outcome. and they never expect quick wins to solve long-term problems. They understand that patience is part of the process. But patience without structure turns into waiting, and waiting too long turns into regret. That's why structure comes first. Build the structure, then keep showing up inside it. To live this way, you have to stop chasing motivation and start designing your life like it matters. You don't build a better future by hoping one day it'll just click. You build it by setting the pieces in place one decision at a time. Your environment, your habits, your time, your priorities. Those are the tools. Use them like a builder, with precision, with consistency, with focus. You don't need more information, you need more structure. That's what changes lives. Structure gives you momentum when motivation disappears. Structure tells you what to do when you feel lost. Structure frees your mind from constant decisions so your energy goes to what actually matters. Without it, everything feels heavy. With it, things become clearer, even when they're still hard. This way of thinking won't feel normal at first. Most people are used to reacting, not building. They're used to jumping between problems, not solving them step by step. They're used to staying busy instead of being strategic. But once you start thinking like a builder, things begin to shift. You stop being overwhelmed by everything. You stop doubting yourself so much. You know what to work on. You know what to let go of. You know where you're headed. That sense of direction brings peace. It brings confidence. It brings power. This is how you stop wasting time. This is how you stop repeating the same lessons. This is how you start becoming someone who creates a life that holds its shape under pressure. Every day becomes a brick. Every decision becomes a layer. Every hour becomes an investment. And before you know it, you've built something real, something solid, something that doesn't fall apart. The second life gets messy. You weren't meant to guess your way through life. You were meant to build it. One move, one habit, one decision at a time. Stop hoping things work out and start creating the structure that makes results possible. Your future doesn't need perfect. It needs solid. It needs consistent. It needs you to stop guessing and start thinking like a builder. Because builders win where guessers quit. Builders finish what they start. And builders, no matter how many times they get knocked down, know how to rebuild stronger than before. Chapter 4. Question every habit that's keeping you average. Your habits are either helping you rise or keeping you stuck where you are. Most people don't take the time to look at their daily behavior and ask the hard questions. They keep doing what they've always done, even when it's not working, even when it's wasting time, even when it's dragging them further from the life they want. If you're serious about growth, you've got to stop protecting habits that are holding you back. You have to question every single one that's keeping you average. Average doesn't just show up. It gets built quietly over time through small patterns that feel comfortable. Sleeping in instead of starting early. Scrolling through your phone instead of building your goals. Delaying decisions because you don't want to deal with the pressure. Saying yes to things you don't care about. Putting off the work that matters. These don't feel like a big deal when they happen, but added up day after day, they shape your direction, and if you don't stop and check them, they will control you. The truth is, most people don't even realize they're stuck in habits that serve no purpose. They're not thinking about it. They're just following what feels normal. But normal is not the same as useful. Just because you've done something for years doesn't mean it's helping you. Just because everyone else does it doesn't mean it's right for you. You have to wake up to your own patterns. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. Ask, what am I doing every day that's slowly keeping me from becoming more? Don't wait for some big crisis to force a change. Choose to look at your life with full awareness. Track how you spend your time. Look at what drains you. Look at what distracts you. Pay attention to what you say you'll do, but never follow through on. These are the cracks where average hides. And if you want to live with excellence, those cracks need to be sealed with discipline, not excuses. Habits become automatic when they're not challenged. That's why you must challenge them. You have to put every habit under the microscope and ask, why am I doing this? What is this giving me? What is this costing me? Is this habit aligned with my future or stuck in my past? That one question over and over can shift the direction of your entire life. Because once you shine a light on a weak habit, you can no longer pretend you don't see it. The reason so many people stay average is because it's easier than change. There's comfort in the familiar. There's safety in doing what everyone else is doing. But comfort isn't growth. And safety isn't success. You can't have a life of strength if you're attached to patterns that keep you weak. You can't become someone new while defending who you've always been. Something has to go. And most of the time, it's the habits you don't want to admit are wasting your potential. Think about how much time is lost every week because of habits that aren't helping. How much time do you spend avoiding the hard work? How much energy goes into things that don't build you? How often do you make promises to yourself and break them the next day? These aren't small details. These are the real reasons why life doesn't move forward. And the only way to change them is to take ownership. No one is coming to break your habits for you. No one is going to follow you around and make sure you're doing what matters. That job is yours. You've got to become someone who pays close attention to your patterns. Someone who doesn't just work hard, but works smart. Someone who understands that small repeated choices are either shaping strength or building weakness. Every habit should serve a purpose. If it doesn't, it needs to go. That's the mindset you need to build. You don't get to keep everything and still expect to grow. Some things must be left behind. Some routines must be replaced. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is the doorway to progress. That discomfort is where discipline is born. And without discipline, you're just hoping for change instead of building it. You have to train yourself to spot average. It shows up in how you talk, in how you think, in how you spend your evenings, in how you react when things don't go your way. Do you complain? Do you quit? Do you distract yourself with easy entertainment instead of facing what needs to be done? These are the real moments where your future is being decided, not with big goals but with small daily choices that feel harmless until they become your default. Changing habits isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters consistently. You don't need to fill your schedule. You need to clean it. Remove the noise. Remove the time wasters. Remove the activities that don't get you closer to the life you say you want. Then rebuild from there. Add in the habits that push you forward, even if they feel boring, even if they're uncomfortable, even if they take time to show results. That's the process. And the people who follow it are the ones who rise above average. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You just need to get honest with yourself. Choose one habit that you know is holding you back and replace it with something that brings value. Start small, but be serious. Be intentional. Be consistent. Track it. Watch how it feels after a week. Notice what changes. Then move to the next. This is how transformation happens, not in one massive leap, but in steady, deliberate steps that are built on awareness and action. What you tolerate becomes your standard. And if you keep tolerating habits that keep you average, you'll live a life that reflects that. But if you raise your standard, if you start refusing to repeat the same weak choices, You create space for something stronger to take root. You start to build discipline. You start to feel proud of how you're living. You start to trust yourself again. And that trust is powerful. It gives you momentum. It gives you clarity. It gives you the edge that most people never build because they're too busy defending habits they don't even like. This isn't about being harsh. It's about being clear. If you say you want better, your habits must reflect that. You can't have a winning life with losing patterns. And once you accept that, the excuses start to disappear. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop blaming circumstances. You realize that the results you're getting are directly connected to the choices you're making, and that gives you the power to change. So start questioning everything. Question how you start your day. Question what you eat. Question how you talk to yourself. Question what you consume online. Question how you spend your downtime. Nothing is off limits. Because the more you question, the more awareness you build. And the more awareness you build, the more control you have. That control leads to stronger habits. Stronger habits lead to better outcomes. And better outcomes lead to a life that feels aligned with who you really are. If you want to move forward, you need to let go of what's holding you back. And most of the time, it's not something big. It's the small, average habits that sneak in quietly and stay there because you never challenged them. So now's the time. Take control. Be honest. Clean house. Build habits that match the future you want, not the comfort you've been stuck in. Question every habit that's keeping you average. Your future depends on it. Chapter 5. Decide fast what matters and cut the rest. Most people lose their edge not because they aren't capable, but because they take too long to decide what matters. Their days are packed with things that don't move their life forward. Their time is eaten up by distractions, noise, and things that feel urgent but aren't important. The longer you wait to figure out what truly matters, the more energy you waste, and the more energy you waste, the harder it becomes to focus, grow, and get ahead. If you want clarity, momentum, and results, you need to decide fast what's essential and cut the rest without apology. When you live without clear priorities, everything feels equal. Every task pulls your attention. Every request seems like it deserves your time. You end up jumping from one thing to the next, feeling productive, but never getting anything meaningful done. You start your day with good intentions, but by the end, you feel like you've been busy without making real progress. That's not a time issue. That's a clarity issue. Without knowing what matters most, you'll always be at the mercy of what screams the loudest. Strong people are decisive, not because they know everything, but because they've trained themselves to choose fast, move forward, and remove anything that wastes time. They're not trying to do it all. They're focused on doing what works. That's the difference between spinning in circles and building real momentum. The ability to decide fast is a skill that separates leaders from followers. The more time you spend stuck in indecision, the more opportunities pass you by. Cutting what doesn't matter doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you respect your future enough to stop entertaining what's holding you back. That could be a task, a distraction, a person, a habit, or even a goal that no longer fits who you're becoming. The faster you let go of what no longer belongs in your life, the more space you create for what actually works. You can't build anything solid with a cluttered mind. Mental clutter leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to delay. Delay leads to regret. You must develop the habit of making decisions from clarity, not confusion. Ask yourself, what are the top 3 things that deserve my full attention today? If something doesn't make that list, be ruthless. It doesn't matter how interesting it looks or how many people are doing it. If it doesn't align with your goals, it doesn't belong in your day. We live in a world that constantly fights for your attention. Ads, opinions, trends, messages, it never stops. And if you don't take control of your focus, the world will steal it from you. You'll end up living someone else's agenda. You'll look up and realize that none of what you're doing actually matters to you. That's how people lose years of their life, doing what's popular instead of doing what's purposeful. There's a mindset shift that has to happen. You have to stop treating every task like it deserves equal effort. You have to stop saying yes just because something feels urgent. You have to stop keeping things in your life just because they've always been there. Growth comes from subtraction as much as it does from addition. Subtract what drains you. Subtract what distracts you. Subtract what slows you down. Then put all your energy into what counts. This level of clarity requires honesty. You can't keep pretending that everything matters. You can't keep protecting distractions. You can't keep delaying decisions because you don't want to deal with discomfort. Deciding fast is not about rushing. It's about being clear enough to move forward without dragging your feet. It's about trusting your judgment because you've built the discipline to filter out what doesn't deserve your time. There's a reason some people always seem calm and focused. It's not because life is easier for them. It's because they've removed the clutter. They don't waste time overthinking. They don't chase everything that looks interesting. They don't let every opinion shake them. They've made peace with the fact that they can't do everything, so they focus on doing the right things well. Cutting the rest doesn't mean you're cold. It means you're serious. Serious about your growth. Serious about your time. Serious about your goals. The world is full of average, and average lives are built by people who can't decide what to keep and what